Welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nick. Today we've got a topic that's super practical and I think a lot of listeners will connect with: common English mistakes non-native speakers make and how to fix them.
Yes. And first, let's just say, making mistakes in English is totally normal. It's part of learning. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time, especially in grammar or spelling.
Absolutely. The difference is that non-native speakers often worry too much about these mistakes, but actually, many of them are so common that teachers, native speakers, and even examiners expect them.
So in this episode, we'll go through some of the most frequent errors, things like articles, prepositions, word order, pronunciation, and of course the classic confusion between similar words.
And most importantly, we'll share easy ways to fix them, so you don't just know what's wrong but also how to make it right.
Exactly. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's communication. And the more you notice these patterns, the more natural your English will sound.
Alright, shall we start with one of the most common articles, a, and the?
So, articles, a, and the. This is something that many learners struggle with, because in some languages, articles don't even exist.
Right. For example, people might say, I went to cinema, instead of, I went to the cinema. Or, I have cat, instead of, I have a cat. It's such a small word, but it changes how natural your sentence sounds.
Exactly. And here's a tip: use a or an when you're talking about something for the first time, something not specific. Like, I saw a dog in the park. But if you're talking about something specific, or something you already mentioned, then you use the. The dog was very friendly.
That's a really good rule of thumb. And the good news is, even if you forget the article, people will still understand you. But adding it makes you sound smoother.
Another super common mistake is prepositions. Oh, prepositions can be a nightmare for learners, right?
Oh yes. Because they don't always translate directly. For example, people often say, I'm married with someone, instead of, I'm married to someone. Or I'm good in English, instead of, I'm good at English.
Yes. And another one I hear a lot: I'll explain you instead of I'll explain to you. That little preposition completely changes the grammar.
One way to improve is to learn phrases as chunks. So instead of memorizing rules, just remember, good at, interested in, married to. Think of them as one unit.
That's such a powerful strategy. Your brain starts to connect the words naturally, instead of pausing to analyze each grammar rule.
Exactly. And the more you listen to real English, TV shows, podcasts, conversations, the more you pick up those chunks without even realizing it.
Speaking of which, another common mistake is word order. Especially with adverbs or questions.
Yeah, like many learners might say, always I go to school, instead of, I always go to school. Or they might ask, you are going where, instead of, where are you going?
That one is so common, because in many languages the word order is different. The trick is to pay attention to how questions are structured in English. Verb comes before the subject. Where are you going? What do you like?
It can feel unnatural at first, but the more you practice, the more automatic it becomes.
Definitely. And then, pronunciation mistakes. Should we talk about that next?
Oh yes, pronunciation is a big one.
One really common pronunciation mistake is with the sounds th, like in this or think. Many learners replace it with a d or s sound, so this becomes dis, or think becomes sink.
Right, and it's totally understandable because th doesn't exist in a lot of languages. But here's a trick: put your tongue gently between your teeth and push the air out. For this your vocal cords vibrate, for think they don't.
Exactly. It might feel strange at first, but practicing in front of a mirror really helps. Another tricky area is vowel length. Like ship and sheep. Learners often pronounce both the same, but ship is a short I sound, while sheep is a long ee.
Yeah, and mixing those up can lead to some funny misunderstandings. Imagine saying, I want a cheap ship, and someone hears, I want a cheap sheep.
Oh, yes. That would be confusing. And then there's the classic mistake with the R and L sounds, especially for learners from East Asia. Saying lice instead of rice.
That's true. The best way to fix that is slow, focused practice. Record yourself saying words with R and L and compare them. Over time, your mouth learns the difference.
I also think intonation is really important. Learners sometimes speak in a very flat tone because they are concentrating so hard on grammar and vocabulary. But English uses rhythm and melody to carry meaning.
Yes. For example, if you say, you're going, with rising intonation, it's a question. If you say, you're going, with falling intonation, it's a statement. Same words, different meaning.
Exactly. And one more common mistake is using literal translations from your native language. Like in some languages you say, I have 20 years, instead of I am 20 years old.
Oh, that's such a good point. Direct translation often creates errors because the structure just doesn't match English.
So the best advice is to notice these patterns and accept that mistakes are part of the process. Every mistake is actually a sign you're learning.
Totally agree. Mistakes aren't failures, they are teachers.
And another one I hear a lot is with plurals. Sometimes learners forget to add the S, like saying two cat instead of two cats. It's small, but it can change how natural you sound.
Yeah, and the opposite happens too, adding S when you don't need it, like furnitures or informations. Those words are uncountable, so no S. It's just furniture and information.
Right? And prepositions can also be really tricky. Learners often mix up in, on, at. For example, saying, I'm in the bus instead of I'm on the bus.
Or, I'm at Monday instead of on Monday. Prepositions are tough because there's not always a logical rule. You just have to notice how native speakers use them and copy.
True. Another mistake I've noticed is with tenses. For example, saying, I agree instead of I agree. In English, agree is already a verb, so you don't need
Exactly. And the same with I am understand, it should just be I understand.
Articles too, a, an, and the. Lots of learners skip them because their language doesn't use articles. But in English, I saw dog sounds incomplete. It should be I saw a dog.
And knowing when to use the can be tricky. Like, we say, the sun, because there's only one, but we say, a book, when it could be any book.
Yeah, and getting those little details right makes your English sound much clearer and more natural.
But the good news is once you notice these common mistakes, you can actually fix them pretty quickly with practice.
Another thing that often trips learners up is word order, especially in questions. I've heard people say, you like pizza, when they actually mean to ask a question. In English, it should be, do you like pizza?
Yes, exactly. Word order is so important in English. If you say, you are coming, that's fine, but if you're not using to be, you usually need that helping verb like do or does. For example, does she like music, instead of, she like music?
And pronunciation can also cause confusion. For instance, many learners mix up ship and sheep. A short vowel versus a long vowel completely changes the meaning.
Same with beach and, well, you know the other word that can sound very different if the vowel is short. So paying attention to vowel sounds really matters.
And let's not forget false friends, words that look similar to your native language, but don't mean the same thing. For example, in some languages, actual means current, but in English, actual means real.
Right, and eventually, in English means, in the end, not, possibly, or maybe. Those little differences can cause funny or confusing mistakes.
The important thing is not to feel bad when you make them. Every mistake is just a signal telling you what you need to focus on next.
Exactly. Mistakes are not failures, they are teachers.
Another very common mistake is forgetting to use articles like a, an, or the. Learners might say, I bought book, instead of I bought a book. In English, these little words are essential, because without them the sentence sounds incomplete or unnatural.
Yes, and articles can be confusing because other languages may not use them the same way. For instance, we say, I'm going to the hospital, but I'm going to school. Why the in one but not the other? It's because in English, some places are treated more like institutions than physical locations.
Exactly, and another mistake I hear is with plurals. Learners often forget to add s at the end of a noun, saying 3 cat instead of 3 cats. It might seem like a small detail, but it really changes how native speakers understand you.
And even trickier, sometimes learners add s when they shouldn't, like informations or furnitures. Those words are uncountable in English, so we don't put s on them. We'd say some information or a piece of furniture.
Prepositions also cause a lot of trouble. People often say, I'm married with 3 years, when they mean, I've been married for 3 years. Or they say, I'm good in English, instead of I'm good at English.
Yes, prepositions are sneaky because they don't always translate directly. One of the best ways to learn them is to notice how native speakers use them in real life, not just from a dictionary.
Another one I see is confusion between adjectives and adverbs. For example, learners sometimes say, she sings beautiful, when it should be she sings beautifully.
Right, and the opposite happens too, like, he's a fastly runner, instead of, he's a fast runner. Knowing when to use an adjective versus an adverb can make your sentences sound much smoother.
One last mistake I'd like to mention is forgetting about subject-verb agreement. Learners might say, she go to work every day, instead of, she goes to work every day. That little s makes a big difference, because it shows you're talking about the third person singular.
Absolutely, and the good news is once you start noticing these patterns, they become easier to fix. Instead of thinking of them as random rules, you can treat them as habits that need practice.
Exactly. And remember, making mistakes isn't something to be ashamed of, it's proof that you're using the language and improving. Every slip is a step toward fluency.
So the best thing you can do is keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking. Correct yourself gently when you notice an error, and don't let fear hold you back.
That's the spirit. Thanks for joining us today on the British Accent Podcast. We hope this episode helps you spot those common mistakes and gives you the confidence to correct them as you go.
And as always, stay motivated, stay curious, and keep learning. See you in the next episode.